All right, there we are. And nice BSR shirt just to start out with. Look at that.
I figured it was the Reston thing to do.
Yeah, you're repping right away.
Yes. Sorry, I'm place to find. I'm in my bedroom, so
getting cozy.
Yeah, it's getting cozy.
I'm in my wife's office. So.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, honey, I'm doing a podcast. My
well,
daughter. Say hi.
Hey. Hi.
My Haley.
So do you generally go by Nick or by Nicholas?
Nick. Can I have my drink? Nick. Yeah.
Nicholas
on Facebook. Right.
And Nick,
I'll answer to either.
Teta, right?
Most people call me Nick. So.
Okay.
And Teta is my last name. It's Teta or Teta. My family says it two different ways, so I'm confused about my whole name in general.
Everybody mispronounces mine as well, so yeah, it's Kyler.
Yeah, but I only have 4 letters. Kyler.
Yeah, man. So, amazing that this is your first podcast.
Yeah, I'm honored. Thank you very much, by the way.
Yeah. No, glad to have you. We're on a mission here at Jams for Man to try to basically track down everybody who is in a band who played Jam for Man and make sure that the Jam for Man story is properly told and getting it out there, and also just kind of sharing the Northern Virginia music scene that we came out of and that kind of formed who we are as musicians, and just to kind of share that with the rest of the world who may not know all the amazing bands that were around.
Yeah, Reston had quite a few great bands. Yeah. Avail, LDK, Psychotic Symptoms. I love the Psychotic Symptoms demo. I wish I still had that. My head on the trigger. I freaking love that. Keith and that. I still have that song in my head. What, 30 years later?
Yeah, that's the thing. And unfortunately, a lot of it didn't get properly recorded, so it basically is in our heads and in our memories for the most part. So it was important for me when I recognized that there wasn't a lot of information out there about it that I could look up, that I wanted to kind of talk to everybody before all our memories are way too far gone and clouded, and we lost too many people
I think you caught me just in time, because I'm getting a little forgetful. So
yeah, you're not the only one. So all right, let me take you back then, just to go right to the beginning of it. Are you originally from Northern Virginia?
I'm actually from Troy, New York, where I live now. That's like in the Albany area, the Capital District area, like known for the birthplace of Uncle Sam. That's basically where I'm from. I moved to Reston in 1986, right when that kind of scene exploded, kind of, that's when all those bands were start forming. I went to South Lakes High School, 10th grade. So Virginia, Reston, I lived there for about 9 years. Yeah, it started my sophomore year. I've was starting my journey into being a metalhead back then. And I ran into, I remember my first time I actually think I got in trouble in school was skipping with Tim Barry, another kid named Ananda Burke, and another kid called Dio, who was, I think his name was Dave Logan. We just called him Dio after obviously. And I remember just, they were the first, and my other friend, Greg Manahai, they're the first people I met. And I kind of like went out with them. And then we, because, when I met Tim, Tim had this like sick jacket with all like a Venom patch and a bunch of other like crazy, you know, crazy stuff that I was just getting into, like right before I moved up there. So I gravitated towards the metalheads, which, punks, metalheads, whatever didn't really matter back then, I guess. But now
What was your music situation like before you got to Reston? Like what was it like growing up in Troy, and how did you get from there to like becoming a metalhead?
um well, the first thing that grabbed me was Kiss. They had an album called Alive 2, and there was this picture of Gene Simmons, just all sweaty and bloody, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" As a little kid, and I was just drawn to it. And then I turned out that the music was awesome, so I started getting into things like Kiss and Alice Cooper, and I discovered like at that point Iron Maiden and stuff was coming up like that. I saw like MTV started, and I remember seeing specifically like Run to the Hills. And that just started like getting me into it big time. So I was maybe a few years into it when I moved into Reston, just kind of like into that kind of music, discovering it. Once I heard like Metallica, like Ride the Lightning and Kill 'Em All, that was it. I was like full blown into it.
Was your family musical?
No, actually, I'm the musical one, and my little brother. But no, not really. I just kind of like picked up a guitar, and I've been playing guitar for years, and back then I wasn't really playing. I knew like one riff on the guitar, but when I joined Asphyxia, I was vocals, so I did that for a few years. But otherwise, I just really got into music back then, and all my friends were music heads. We'd go to concerts, we'd go see Anthrax, Metal Church, bunch of bands like that, and I also like classic rock. Like we saw Pink Floyd a few times and a couple things like that. But
When you got to Reston, did you feel like different than than the people there? Was there, or did you feel like you just kind of eased right into it?
I kind of felt at ease over there. I felt more isolated out up in New York than I did over there. I went from Troy to move into a richer place, and the kids were kind of snotty. But Reston, like it was like everybody, like it was just such a massive school, and I found people to hang out with immediately, and everybody was very open and nice, and it's like I was always there. It was a very welcoming place. It was a very and I was just kind of like an awkward kid wearing metal t-shirts all the time, and just it just seemed it seemed big enough to where everybody could fit in somehow.
Did you think of yourself as a singer before Asphyxia, or a writer, or
No, no, I actually I met this kid named Alex, and we kind of like, I think he might have had a Slayer shirt on or something like that, and we kind of hit it off, and he was picking up guitar, and I was pretty amazed at how good he was, and I'd sit in his room with him, and I'd talk riffs with him, and he wrote most of the riffs, but I mean I'd have ideas, and we'd write songs and just kind of found other members from there. Found Brian Hutchinson on other guitar and Brian Gert on drums and this character Tom Huff on bass.
Where'd you guys play?
We played
Not like shows, but like where did you rehearse? Where did you practice?
You know where South Lakes is? The center,
Yeah.
shopping center?
Yeah, sure.
There's a lake over next to it called, is it Lake Thoreau? I think that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right across the street from it. And we had a little practice room in Brian Hutchinson's house. It was like one of those weird Art Deco houses, and it had a thing that was completely branched off. And this little room. We just called it the room, and we could play as loud as we wanted in there at all times because it was completely separate from the house.
That's an incredible stroke of luck, to have that, because most people did not. Most people, if you were doing that, you would be either driving parents nuts, or the parents were cool enough to let you do it.
We did plenty of that though, driving parents nuts. But yeah, I mean, no, we lucked out. It was a great, Brian had this room. And we just played down there, and like we got, of course, like all bands, we sucked at first, and we got pretty good, for 80s thrash metal goodness. But we were the token metal band of Reston. We didn't claim any punk rock. We just were like, we're metal.
So was there any other metal around that you knew of? Like, were there other bands doing metal in the area?
They're predominantly punk. I think we were the token Reston metal band. I mean, there's other bands around like Deceased and Morticious and Abominog and but those are in like other towns over. But I don't really, I wouldn't call LDK metal. I would call them more hardcore. AVAIL is what? Hardcore punk? I don't know. I don't know what to label these bands, and I don't think it's like, I mean, everybody, I guess realistically it's all metal.
Well, I know that I've had these conversations with a lot of people from those bands, and regardless of whether they played hardcore or punk rock or whatever it was, almost to a person, they were influenced by metal. And you wouldn't be surprised at how many Kiss was like the gateway drug for.
I'm not surprised. I know a lot of them.
It's like, it's got to be like 80-90%.
Yeah. I mean, well, what else was there in the 70s? There was Star Wars, Jaws, and Kiss. We didn't have all this cool stuff that we have now. That was like, Gene Simmons was literally a monster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was
I
just
I remember being like 3 or 4 years old. My brother was a couple years older, or is a couple years older, and we had a Kiss record, and it wasn't listening to it so much as it was looking at the pictures and putting on the makeup.
oh yeah.
We would put on the makeup and pretend to be Kiss, like,
Oh,
just pretend to rock out before it was any even real connection to the music.
that was the thing to do. I've done that plenty. Yeah, I'm actually learning Kiss songs right now on my real guitar. I've never really tried before. I don't know why, but But yeah, I mean, we did the Kiss concerts when we were kids all the time. Me and my friends, we would put on the live records and pretend we were the members. You know, the funny thing is only when I was younger, if I got in trouble, bad grades or something like that, and they're like, "You're grounded," that didn't bother me. But then she'd be like, "I'm taking away your Kiss records," and I was like, "No." That was the only thing that affected me when I was younger.
Yeah.
That
My
was the
my
only
da
punishment.
my daughter is, like, 8, and I'll
Yeah.
send her to her room, and
Hmm.
almost without fail, like, I mean, I'll take away the computer or, something like that, like, I'll take away the electronics, but
Yeah.
then I'll hear her blasting records in her room, like, literally blasting, like, vinyl on her record player, and
Nice.
as mad as I might be at her, for sending her to for whatever gets her sent to her
Mhm.
room,
Yeah.
it puts a smile on my face
Of course.
yeah, when she's angry, and the way that she gets it out is like blasting music,
Hmm.
because it's
Nice.
just, like,
That's a
we
healthy
can all
release.
relate to that, and that's probably where the metal comes from, and the punk rock and hardcore comes from. It's like you just want to play the music as loud as you can and get it out.
Oh, absolutely. There's no greater feeling after a show when everybody's like crowd, moshing or
Ju-
slam dancing
just
in front of
drained.
you.
You're just drained of all of it, and you
Hmm.
feel like happy and at peace.
Yeah, you're super mellow afterwards. You're like, it's better than any drug, any pill,
The
getting music.
the Alive 2 show, I think, takes place at the LA Forum,
You're correct. Yep.
and
Yeah, I know this stuff. I'm a Kiss nerd.
yeah, and I've only seen Kiss one time, saw
Hmm.
'em at the Forum.
Oh, nice.
So
Very nice.
so yeah,
I've seen
not
them
too many,
probably
like
eight
5
times,
4 or 5 years ago.
4 or 5 years ago at the forum.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a great show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you liked it?
Oh, yeah. Love
Oh, good, good.
I mean,
I
love
took my
them.
kids. I took my kids a couple times. I've seen them in the '80s a lot. I saw the reunion tour and all that stuff. That was a religious experience when that happened. Basically, for me, when they got back together, that
Mhm.
was that show was amazing. But yeah. When I took my kids to it first, they were pretty young. Um, and once Gene Simmons spit blood, my middle child Olivia couldn't get her back. She was so scared. We had to leave.
Oh, no.
She freaked out. Like she was like, oh, she was terrified. Poor kid. We
Yeah.
seen him after that, and she was fine after that. But she was little, and
My 8-year-old is out on anything with blood, and even whenever I try to show her a movie where she's
yeah.
worried about it might be scary, like, the first question is there any blood?
Oh, understandable. You know, you can only take so much at that age. I
But
wasn't allowed to watch movies when I was younger, and I wanted to see Alien really bad, and I like begged my mom to let me watch Alien. She's like, "No, you can't watch it." So they were watching it on HBO that night, and I snuck in the room and laid under a table and watched it. And I swear, for 2 years, I had nightmares. For two
yeah.
years, I was like,
Well,
I was terrified to go to bed. The door, it was just, she was right.
oh, yeah.
But
Alien, Jaws,
yeah,
RoboCop, Terminator, all of those I saw way too young.
Yeah.
and like all of those kind of messed with me.
Yeah, well, yeah, Alien's the one that messed with me, and I got into horror movies a little later, and then like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets and all. I was heavy into that stuff.
But Alien just like builds up the tension. Like it just ratchets up the tension like crazy.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, when that
it's
thing
really
opened its mouth.
slow, but then it explodes, you know?
Yeah, it does. Definitely does. Yeah, it scared the crap out of me. But I think that was like the last movie that did, because I'm a jaded horror movie fan now. Now I'm like, you know, I've seen so many of them. I barely even watch them anymore.
So did fronting a metal band scare the crap out of your parents?
They didn't like it. I don't think. My father was like, "What is this garbage?" Basically. But I mean, they're mostly supportive. Yeah, my father's a big music fan too. I mean, like, he got me into Zeppelin, the Doors, that stuff, Neil Young stuff I was playing when I was born. So, the heaviest he goes is probably Led Zeppelin, you know. But he enjoyed some Danzig, because he's like, this guy's got a good voice. Who's he?
Zeppelin can
So
be pretty heavy at times. I mean, Zeppelin,
yeah,
in some respects, invented a lot of the stuff that's the formula for metal. I
they're
mean,
definitely were one of the pioneers. Them and Sabbath and bands like that, Deep Purple. Yeah, I'd say Zeppelin had a huge influence. Zeppelin was probably the most popular of the bunch. You know, but
and they could certainly play.
oh God, amazing. Yes, absolutely.
So, how long did it take you guys to sort of, coalesce and be able to write your own tunes and, you know, sound like a real group? I mean, how old were
Well,
you guys? You were
15, 16 years old. Probably closer to 16. It was 1987, 88, somewhere around there. We pretty much started writing our original music immediately. Um, I would say probably took about a year to get like good enough to go play shows. I say we could cracked at it for about a year, probably. Then started playing some, basement shows, garage shows with the other local bands, like with LDK or Avail or Transilience, or I probably even Psychotic Symptoms. I think there was a few shows before we played the Jam for Man, that we did the Youth for a Better World Jam for Man show.
okay.
And that,
Well,
that
tell me what was the first show?
the first show had to be a basement show. I'm like, I had to talk to friends today to rack my brain for the memory of this stuff. So bear with me. I know that the first show may have been a basement show, actually. Yeah, I think it was in this girl Kara's basement. I'm not sure if that was our first show, but I think it was. I mean, because people would come to see us at our practice space all the time, so we'd always have a lot of people there. But then, branching out, it was just Reston basements, Reston garages, things like that. We did a garage show at Tom's house with Deceased, Avail, Transilience at one point, and that the people would just pack into the driveway, and we'd have the shows.
I mean, hold on, think about that for a second. Like, think about those great bands that you're playing with. I mean, those bands are all awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah, God, that was the stuff I listened to in high school a lot. I'd listen to local bands. I had that LDK Second Try demo, the first demo. Listen to that all the time.
This world
still have those songs Stand Together still in my head. That Translates demo, absolutely amazing. You know, I got that recently online. So that's still there. You know, the Psychotic Symptoms, like I told you how much I like them. You know, and there's obviously Avail went into the stratosphere there, you know. They went pretty good. I actually played a show with them in Albany with my grindcore band Greyland, and we were horrible. I begged them not to watch me because we sucked back then, because I just picked up a guitar and like within 2 weeks we were playing shows, and you know.
But
But we did it.
I love the early Avail with Tim on drums, because
Oh yeah.
I love Tim on drums.
All right, Tim's a great drummer.
I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
so good. I don't know if there was anybody better. You know,
Oh, he's probably him and Ruben, I think, were probably the best drummers around, because Ruben from Translations. And I think Andre Love was really good too. I can't remember what band he was in, but Tim was a solid drummer. Oh yeah, I used to go to a lot of Avail practices too at Tim's house, so I've seen that version of Avail quite a bit.
Yeah,
But,
Andre was in Remission.
oh, Remission. Okay, yeah. Sorry, Andre, if you're watching. I remember. Old
Oh
timers.
man, but you know, yeah.
I remember how good you were. You know, like I said,
Oh,
I had my friend.
he's still awesome too. I mean, I got to see him play at when we did the 30th anniversary Jam for Man show,
I
and
so wish I could have came to that.
and he was on drums there
Was
playing
he?
with Spooky and with Transilience. And they were incredible.
Yeah, they're putting out a new album.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, Spooky actually recorded our first Asphyxia demo, or our second one.
That doesn't surprise me at all. Spooky recorded a lot of Reston demos. I don't know if like almost anything would have been recorded from Reston bands if it wasn't for Spooky.
Yeah, I remember him trying to make up lyrics for us. I can't remember. He was like singing, and then you saw a horse. I'm like, what? But yeah, I remember that vividly. And oh, I'm getting a text. Oh, sorry. Daughter's on her way home. And Jim Barry, Tim's brother, recorded our first one, I believe.
And he's quite a great musician in his own right. We did an episode.
Yeah, I think he's a classical musician or something like that.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
But he can shred as well. Like he was a shredder, and like could do some metal shredding on guitar himself.
Yeah. Yeah. Both of those.
You can hear that. You guys got to go back through some of these episodes and check out this stuff, you know, because
I'm gonna go through them all. Absolutely. So I wish I had more time this week to prepare and go through them, but
oh, that's okay. I actually think it's much better, you know, just doing this cold and not having any preconceived notions or any, you know, any preparation.
Yeah.
I try to prepare a little bit on my behalf.
Yeah, I think it sent you a few songs. I'm trying to find some photos and stuff that you, if you wanted to put those in later,
Oh
however you
yeah,
do it.
for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I got flyers at least somewhere around here. So
That stuff is good, and I'm looking to at some point take all of this that I've done and put it together also as like a book version, an oral history of Jam for Man.
oh, sweet.
Yeah,
That was a
that'll
really
have
cool
all
set
the
of,
flyers and as many pictures and things as we can gather together.
yeah, nice, very nice.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
a
I'm really trying to, in some respects, be like the Reston musical historian. You know,
that's
uh,
awesome. That's fantastic. It was
yeah,
such good memories,
the
such great
National
bands.
Archives of Reston.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of those, it's worth it with some of those bands. I mean, there's freaking amazing music coming out of there.
Yeah,
And it
I
was
think
the
it was
80s.
unbelievable too. Like, and you mentioned Deceased. Like,
Yeah.
did Deceased was great as well. Like
Oh, yeah.
they rocked.
We brought them to rest in at Tom's house. Yeah, I've been to so many Deceased shows. Deceased was I love them. Those demos are my high school soundtrack. Birth by Radiation, Nuclear Exorcist. I love those demos. They re-recorded the stuff professionally. I still go back to the demos because that's just what they sound the way I want to hear them.
Right?
Even if they're demos.
Some
So,
people are like trying to get this equipment, going back and trying to like acquire 4 tracks and stuff to get this sound now and putting stuff on tapes to try to get this hiss stuff
nice.
where this is just what we had to be
Hmm.
able to record our stuff. So
Yeah.
um in terms of recording with Spooky, um what was that experience like? Was that your first time ever recording?
I think Jim was our first time recording because we had two demos. One was called "Stop and Smell the Roses," and one was called "Judgment Day," I believe. It's all coming back to me. But we recorded that first one that with the "Stop and Smell the Roses" one with Jim, and that was definitely an experience. That was my first time recording vocals. I was very, I guess, shy and timid about it, but I did it. And then by the time it was with Spooky, I didn't care, and I was used to it by that point. Just went in there
What
and
did
just
you
screamed.
what did you do vocally to get or mentally to get yourself into like that same headspace or mind space to be able to get the same energy as like a live performance?
I was always just really pumped to go in there and record. So I think, and being a 16, 17-year-old with the energy you have anyway, I was always ready to go. I was always ready to go and get on the mic and sing and do all that stuff. Just, I was just very positive, just very excited, excited to be doing something like that, excited, it's a dream for a kid to do that kind of stuff, so, when you're following your dreams, it's pretty easy to get excited and motivated for it, you know.
Do you remember what songs were on there, or what was kind of like your favorite moment from that first recording?
Well, we had song titles were like Malicious One, Genocide, Stop and Smell the Roses, which was there was an instrumental called Turn Your Head and Cough. My only part in that was coughing at the end. So I guess if you are familiar with going to the doctor and they
Oh, I get it.
turn your head. So we had a song, our token anti-drug song, which I think every Reston band had, called The White Line. I think that was probably a ripoff of the Master of Puppets, if you know what I mean. I think I'm pretty sure every Reston band had a token anti-drug song. I'm pretty sure it was like in the rule book.
Yeah.
But, what else? We had a song called Revenge, which was like just, I think, we wrote songs about, killers, war, and all that kind of, metal stuff, and antisocial behavior stuff, kind of stuff. I don't know. We're out of the token, your basic cheeseball metal lyrics, when I first heard that you wanted to hear about this podcast, I was like, oh no.
Oh no, I loved Revenge. I
Huh?
thought that I thought that rips.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the songs that aren't cringeworthy to me.
And
Point of Destination.
the solos especially are, really advanced. And
Yeah,
pretty,
I don't know if any much more had solos. Yeah, we kind of like we did have solos in every song. I don't think that was happening. It was more straight. That was kind of like we're different a little bit in Rest. And do you really hear a lot of solos in the other bands? Because I don't really remember.
no.
No,
So
I think we're the only kind of band that did that, because Alex and Brian could both solo. I mean, Alex has this I don't know, he has this Middle Eastern vibe in his solos more later in his career, but and Brian's was just straightforward metal guitar player. I don't know. They were really unique. But
yeah.
yeah.
Well, and advanced for their age at that point too. I
Yeah.
mean, that song is really interesting as well, because you don't hear the bass as much in that song, and then all of a sudden there's like a bass solo in it.
Oh yeah.
There's
Yep.
like that bass break, and then all of a sudden the bass is like, huge in that song.
So that's a live recording from that show at Tom's Garage, the one with AVAIL, Deceased, Transillians.
Wow.
And maybe Remission was at that show too. I think so. They might, yeah, I think, is that Dave Gillingham singing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, I wish I could find. I had an old video of some of that stuff. Uh,
If
in-
if you do, let me know.
yeah, if I can find it, I'll ask my dad if he has it still. I'll get it converted over because it's VHS, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll get it converted and over to you. I think I have some stuff from that. God,
Oh,
I hope I can find.
that would be incredible. If you have that show on VHS, that would just be gold.
Yeah, that would you'd love. I'm sure you'd get a lot of stuff off of that for this.
Everybody would love to see that.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, I got to make sure I can find that. I mean, it's a long shot, but it's been years. So, but I will ask my dad to look. You know,
So let me ask you, did you guys get a chance to play any like clubs or anything before you had gone and played Jam for Man? Or was
no, the Jam for Man show was our first really big one. We were more of a we did all the garage and basement shows around Reston. That's what it was mostly about at first. It was mostly like, they're gonna have a show at this garage, we're gonna have a show at this kid's house. That's what the shows were before Jam for Man started. So it was mostly just playing around the area. You
yeah,
know, there's
totally.
a party here. You know, we're gonna have a party. We want a band to play. I
Well, that's
remember
why we're
playing.
we were somewhat lucky to have Jam for Man as well.
Absolutely, I remember playing a show with my friend Sean's band, Abrupt. Do you remember? Do you know of them?
No, you're the first one who's ever mentioned Abrupt.
Abrupt and Asphyxia. They opened for us, and the drummer, which blows my mind, started Alabama Thunder Pussy, and he was in Avail. So that
Oh,
was his first show ever. I think it's Eric Larson.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that was his first show ever. He was in a hardcore band called Abrupt, and they opened for us. Look how far they've gone, and now. It's just kind
So
of this stuff blows my mind. That these people. I can't believe how good, amazing of a scene we came from. That the Reston bands were just spectacular. You didn't realize how good you had it back then.
yeah, well, that's that's why kind of when I saw Brian created this poster of all the bands basically that ever played Jam for Man, or just everybody that was kind of around that he sort of played with around that time. I'm talking about Brian Stewart. And
Yeah,
he posted that poster, and it just got me thinking, like seeing that and seeing all the names of those bands, and just like, being reminded of all of those bands.
yeah.
That's what made me think of doing this, and
Oh,
made me want to do this,
well, I
from the
can't
get-go.
wait. I can't wait to go through and watch all these. I'm psyched. I'm really psyched. I saw a little bit of it here and there, but I'm going to really take the time and just watch these because it's a trip down memory lane, and it was really an amazing time. I'm grateful that I moved there. I'm grateful that I got to experience that place. That there's no place like Reston around here. You know.
Do you have any theory as to why Reston? Why?
Well, it is a planned community type deal. Like, I mean, they have it a certain way, and I don't know what that has to do with anything, but it was just unlike any place I grew up out here in New York or Connecticut or wherever I was living. It's just you didn't have to be on any. Nobody was getting hit by cars because we were on bike paths. They connected everything. You know, you didn't hear about any stuff like that. Nobody was getting hurt or things. Obviously there were the normal high school stuff, but I mean,
Sure,
just
fights and stuff like that for
yeah,
sure.
yeah, yeah. Reston hoodlums were no joke.
Yeah, and I mean, I mean, every one of those basement shows, or almost every one of them, was eventually broken up by the cops or some kind of fight,
Oh yeah, well, you of
or
course.
or a fight and then the cops.
Hmm. Yeah,
Usually. Um,
yeah.
I have not been doing this on Zoom. I was doing it on my phone before, and this thing
Yeah.
is giving me less than a minute because I'm using, unfortunately, my home account. I wasn't thinking
Okay.
about it. I should
All right.
probably, because I'm a teacher also, I should probably use my teacher account because it's
Okay.
about to boot us off.
Okay.
We're right about to get up to playing Jam for Man, so we gotta stop, and I'm going to try to send you another invite from my other account, okay?
All right.
So we
All
don't
right.
have
I'll
any
be
more
right here
problems.
for you.